And we have an army, okay, as a soldier and as a general, as a retired general. We have an army of digital soldiers. What we are now, what we call, I call them, because this was an insurgency, folks. This was run like an insurgency. This was irregular warfare at its finest in politics. And that story will continue to be told here. But we have what we call citizen journalists. Okay? Because the journalists that we have in our media did a disservice to themselves, actually more than they did to this country. They did a disservice to themselves because they displayed an arrogance that is unprecedented. And so the American people decided to take over the idea of information. They took over the idea of information, and they did it through social media. How many of you know about Periscope? Okay, raise your hands up. It's okay to raise your hands. I'm not going to ask you that question. I'm not going to give you a test question. Yeah, okay, good, good. Periscope. I didn't know about Periscope till a few months ago. Didn't know about it. I watched one individual, who will be nameless here, but one individual who has 650,000 followers just on Twitter, which really these days doesn't seem like a lot, but it's a lot. It's enough. This individual is a huge influencer. So we title him as an influencer. Okay? So he puts out a tweet to his 650,000 followers and says, I'm going to be on Periscope doing a live media broadcast in 15 minutes. 15 minutes. 35 million people viewed that. 35 million. Because everybody said, hey, because the guy's great. He's great. When he talks, he's out there. And he's an American patriot. He's an American patriot. So when we talk about patriotism, how do we fight as patriots today? We fight at the voting booth. We fight in our schools. You know, in the military, when you're a young officer or sergeant, corporal, private, you know, we almost demand those individuals to demonstrate physical courage, to be fearless, demonstrate physical courage. Why? We want them to do it on the physical exercise field. We want them to do it in the very physical, demanding extremes that we put them through on training, because we want them to demonstrate physical courage in the face of all odds on the battlefield. The more senior that you get, and I learned this, but actually I completely believe the opposite now for our younger generation. And it's the older you get in the military, we sort of begin to change that physical courage to what I call intellectual courage. And intellectual courage actually takes more bravery at times. Takes more bravery at times. Because to be intellectually courageous, and this is for you, this is really for this foundation, this is for the young people in this room, you are demonstrating a level of intellectual courage that our country desperately needs. So for this election, for this particular election, I'm going to be professional. I'm going to be humble, because I think that's a characteristic of the American, of the American patriot, is humility in the face of odds, right? A good winner, not a sore loser. But we don't have to be polite. In fact, we have to stop being polite for our principles. We have to stop being polite for our values. We have to stop being polite for what we stand for. We have to stop apologizing for who we are and what we believe.